Well,
Welcome to Shade and the City. I'm your girl Treese.
it's Nels.
And today, y'all, we are here to get into none other than the family or the fiance. Okay. This is season 4, episode 8. And this was, don't get me like Sky and James. Okay.
Parents just don't understand.
I don't know. Nobody else gets these titles except her. Everybody else is Sky and
It
James.
shows the title, ma'am.
On my
It,
own app, on my own online, it says
it
Sky
needs
and James.
it needs to get hip. It needs to get with the program, okay? Because it has a title
If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button.
and a subscribe button.
And y'all, let's jump right into this episode and let's get shady. So let's get into Sky and James. Y'all can't see James, but he's behind us here. So Sky and James have been dating for over a year, is what I got. They met at a homecoming event. They apparently, while they were attending Daytona Beach. Now, I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm sure there's a college that's called that. I've never heard of it though, but shout out
Yeah,
to
it's
y'all.
the University of Daytona Beach.
Oh, so University of Daytona Beach. She said that they've been talking ever since. First of all, the first thing that I'm surprised Tracy didn't bring up, and I don't know if they mentioned it or if I just missed it. Did they bring up their ages? Because that was the first thing that I thought about.
I
Because
don't
they met in
remember.
college. They met in college, so he had to be what, 19, 20. You know what I mean? Like most people get out of college about 24, 23, 24, right? Or 22, depending on how fast you go, right? So
I don't remember hearing their ages.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they ever said their ages. And I was just wondering why Tracy didn't say something like y'all too young, like she said to the last couple. That's why it was at the forefront of my mind. Um, but yeah, so then they dated for a year, but then later on he says that they were engaged for 5 months. So I was like, y'all didn't take no time courting. Like y'all jump right in. So that's just my opinion based off, like I said, and maybe they grown, but and they're young. So I was thinking about all this as I was going into the
You never
episode.
know. Shoot, all these old people that have been together all these years, most
No,
of them
and
met.
again,
They met when they was young, been together 3 months, and got married.
look, and again, I told you that
Some
that
60 years.
the YT mothers tell their daughters all the time, find your husband in college while you in school, get them while right. Okay. So I'm not judging. I just was like, oh, that's super, like it's a short courtship and for them to be so young. It is what I'm thinking, is what I was saying. So
Mhm.
anyway, so he planned his proposal, but it was ruined because her daddy was intoxicated and he made her, uncomfortable. And then his family members left. And so they're hoping to address any unresolved issues from that night that his family might have. They go to meet with T. McMillan, good old Tracy, okay? And we learned that they've been, like I said, engaged for 5 months. And Tracy jumps up because I'm like 5 months and you've been together over a year. So let's say you've been together for a year and a half. That's what, 18 months? And you've been engaged for 5. That's what I'm saying. I just started doing the math and I was like, oh, okay. Um, Now Tracy jumps right in and she's like, so what happened at the proposal? So Sky says that after James finished his speech and she said yes, her daddy jumped in the damn pool. Now, at first, I was trying to get, because you know me as the advocate, I was trying to give her daddy grace. And I said maybe it was like a celebration. Maybe he was like, woo, confetti, and jumped in the pool. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what happened because daddy was a little miscombobulated after he jumped in the pool. And apparently he had glasses and he can't
It was
see
even
without
you couldn't even swim. They said he was gasping fast, lost,
them.
lost his glasses and all. And
I
then I
won't
thought
try to bring that. I won't try to bring that up, Nils.
then I thought maybe he tripped in the pool, but you heard his mom. She said, Out of nowhere, somebody just came running past me. I moved my foot and he went in the pool. He was aiming. He was aiming for the pool.
So obviously she was embarrassed. And she lets her know that, he was drinking, but says that since the proposal, he said that he's been fasting from alcohol. So she reveals that her father has been doing this with alcohol and other substances since she was 6 or 7 years old. Okay. And she said that her parents divorced when she was 5, and then her mother remarried after. So then she tells Tracy how then her stepfather was, a word to her mother, um, Yusuf. I think y'all get it. And unfortunately, he passed away. And she said, as bad as it sounds, I believe that's the only reason we made it out.
It
And I
didn't
said,
sound
that's cool.
it didn't sound unfortunate to me.
Right. Um, And so Tracy asked Sky if her mother has dealt with that in therapy, and she's like, no. And so then we see her mother, Monique, and her brother, Ja, and her father, Terrence, who are, or no, she lets them know that her mother, Monique, and her brother, Ja, and her father, Terrence, are coming, while James' brother, Jalen, shout out to all those named Jalen,
Mm.
his cousin, Drika, and his mother, Sheikah. And I said, okay, so clearly your mama wanted to give, that was a niece name situation. I get it. I get it. And his mother, and so his mother questions, she's talking like, oh, I hope her dad gonna be all right during her whole situation. And so then James reveals that his father, I guess I said recently passed away, and I didn't realize it was way, way back. But James reveals in therapy that his dad passed away from cancer, and that he even shared it with him before sharing it with his mother. And so then literally my notes say, and so obviously he's suffering from trauma from that he still hasn't dealt with. And then Tracy gives him questions, and my notes say, are we surprised? That's why I ain't even go into whatever she called the questions, because we all know they're questions. I don't even, well, let's not name them something different when it's really not nothing different but some questions.
Mm-mm.
Asking all them questions. Uh
So then both their families arrive, and this is their first time seeing each other since the pool incident. They sit down, address their concerns. Her mom said her concern is that she thinks they both need counseling. The nerve for their past.
I thought the same thing. I was like, aren't you the mom that, and then I was like, you know what, shut up, Latrice, keep watching.
Um, she said that they both need counseling for their past traumas, and she wants her to work on a better relationship with her dad. Ja told her he wants her to forgive herself for some of the stuff that she's had to endure. And dad said that he wants James' family to know the true him and not just the one, at the
That's
proposal.
jumping in the pool.
Exactly, acting an ass. And wants
Right.
to all be in a good place, and said he did say some disrespectful things to James, but he forgave him and he just wants to move forward. So look, I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't just jumping in the pool then.
Right.
Mom said that she wants him to get some healing from the passing of his father, and said it's definitely changed the person that he's become. Drigger basically said the same thing, and Jalen said that he wants the family to unite because they don't really know each other. He wants to get to know them better, and then they let them know what the tasks are, and we know that they're questions. So James sat down with his future family to get into the task, dare to share. And his first question was how his dad passed and how old was he. I was like, that's a little invasive. I didn't think that was necessary. You could have asked your daughter
Well,
that.
get him to open up and talk about it, because maybe they don't know. And clearly it's a, I will say this as someone who has a partner very similar to what James went through, who lost parents when they were older. It's for whatever reason, and I can't explain it, even though you're like, oh, well, they were still your parents, you should talk about them. I think for some people it really hurts that much to talk about it. So it's like, and so even if it's like, oh, well, tell them about this memory, or whatever. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
this
they
is
were
something
trying to
that
get him to open up. I think they were just trying to get him to open up about it. that's really what it was. Because I'm sure he might have said, oh, my
But
dad's no
see,
longer.
but they're not therapists, and this is something he's still currently dealing with. I can understand if it was like it happened forever ago, and he's kind of moved past it. I
Hmm.
mean, of course, he still hurts, but like he's moved past it where he can talk about it. But this man literally said he is still hurt and traumatized by this. I thought that was a question that they could have just asked their daughter. I wouldn't have asked
I
them.
get what you're saying. And to that point, and that's why, to relate it to person, that's why when I have conversations about his parents with you, you
Mhm.
learn from me, because it's not him talking about it because it's too hurtful.
Mhm. Well, he let them know that his dad passed from colon cancer in 2016 when he had just turned 21. He said it felt like a part of him left when his dad passed because they were so close. The next question was, where does he stand with with her dad and what he did? And he said the main thing that he was worried about was Sky, and because it affected her and she was hurt by it. And he said, I know you love your daughter, but she just wants you to be good and sober and walk her down the aisle and enjoy that moment with her. So basically, get it together.
Right.
Um, and then Sky sat down with his family and got into the task before I'm a bride. The first question she got was, how do you feel about the healing that James needs from his father's passing? And she said he's definitely not healed. It's been years, but it feels like it just happened last year. And the next question was, is her childhood traumas, what are her
You
childhood
know
traumas?
what?
How did it affect her relationship? What?
No, I found it interesting. This is why I think I thought, and it's crazy because he had just said his dad passed away in 2016. But what I found to be almost very beautiful in a way, that she's so empathic, because granted, this was, all of these couples have been from 2023, right?
Mm,
If they met over a year ago, that would have been maybe 2020, right?
mm,
Before the demic or whatever.
mhm.
Or maybe 2021. My point in saying that is the fact that she got emotional, and in my eyes, she's probably never even had the opportunity to meet his father, but
Mhm.
that's how empathic she is to his pain, that it like made her cry.
I
You
think,
get what I'm saying?
and I think that's why it bothered me that her family brought it up, because this is a very current pain. Like,
Mhm.
it's still very current. Like, they
Mhm.
can't really even speak about this man without getting emotional. So
Right.
it's currently in their relationship. It's not like they can have conversations about it. And yes, it hurts him, but they can openly talk about it. This is a very still current pain. It may have happened years ago, but it's very current. And that's why I didn't think it was right for them to ask him. But
Got you.
whatever. So yeah, the next question that she was asked was, um, what is her childhood traumas and how did it affect her relationship? And she said that they suffer from years of household DV. And it was quite often, like on a weekly basis. And it was giving like weekly, as in every other day weekly. It wasn't giving like one
Right.
time. And she said that she agrees that they, kind of trauma bond because they both have some traumatic issues from their past. She also said that she suffers from really bad anxiety. She was like, if there was a boom behind me, I would just have an anxiety attack. Um,
I understood everything she was saying when she said that.
then the next question was, what is your relationship like with your dad? And she said, when he does something that hurts her feelings, he sometimes owns up to it and sometimes he don't.
Right. Then we go to are we already oh no, now we get to the dinner. So while they are preparing for dinner, okay, um daddy is drinking a beer, okay? And He pours himself some Hennessy. Now, Sky is visibly irritated with her daddy. And then they just said, oh, okay, well, let's move forward. Because the mama was like, what you drinking? And I was like, he was like, why are you worried about what's up in my cup? And I was like, oh, Lord. So then they bring up the task, and Sky brings up how, you know, basically, I had trauma, we brought up my past trauma. And so the cousin, I forgot her, Drika, says, well, when you come from trauma, you produce it. And I love when she said that. I said, yeah, girl, that's good. That's good. She been through some
Mhm.
dirt.
You're so
Um,
silly.
and so she mentions how James isn't fully healed either, from losing his dad. And I love that she called out both of them. It wasn't just something's wrong with you, something's wrong with you, you need to heal. I like how it went
Mhm.
both ways. So James admits that he needs to talk to someone and says that he wants her to see him without all of the hurt and pain that he carries. Now Sky says that she can recognize that she has anxiety and PTSD. She talks about trying to comfort her mother during those dark times, and basically, go hug her mother so they could cry together about what just happened. And it would just be a thing where she needed to shake it off and had to be strong. Um, and obviously that hurt her, and it made her feel this sense of like, I have to be that way, right? Well, mama don't like that. Her mama gets emotional and says that it's hard to hear that she contributed to her child hurting. And I thought we were getting somewhere when
Mhm.
we started. But then she said, I never had affection and I never had love. And I wanted to make sure my children felt that. So she accuses Scott, well, you don't remember the good times
I'd have been like, no, I don't. You gonna get mad because I don't remember them?
and how I
I'm not
helped
saying it
change.
might. I might. Not, I might. I'm not saying that they didn't exist, but I'm saying clearly the bad outweighed the good. So no, I don't remember the good.
You forgot how I changed all these generational curses.
But you know what? I started to say I started to say
Look, clearly my acting was good because it provoked her.
look, moving on.
Right. So James' mother, Sheikah, she all sitting there, she realizes, oh, so uh Sky's mama, Monique, she can't handle hearing the truth. That's what that sounds like.
And you know what? I love that even though Terrence was getting a little twisted, he even was like,
Even he had more sense.
it ain't about you, boo. We here
Right.
to focus on what's wrong with her. We ain't here to talk about you.
No, so then Monique tells her that she's the amazing woman she is because of everything that she went through. And so I'm gonna be honest with
All
you.
the kids that she raised, girl, what you want to marry? What?
I'm
Get
gonna
the
be
kid.
honest with you. That for me, and else can tell you, I believe in respecting my elders, but that's when mama would have got a nice cussing out. I would have, and I again,
What does
I'm in
that have to do with
therapy.
trauma? I'm
I'm
telling you.
working on myself, but I would have had to cuss mama out and set her straight. But you crossed the boundary. You triggered me. Okay, you triggered me.
Mm-mm.
Um, and I just don't understand. And I don't understand. Let me start off by saying that I don't understand. Have I been in a DV situation? Unfortunately, yes. Thank God there were no children involved. And that's why I say I don't understand, but I think me as a person and who I am now, I think that I would be able to take accountability, especially if there was a child involved, when they say that their life experience was they felt it and they have trauma from seeing me go through that and choosing to be with that person. And so I guess I'm not getting why mom is having such a hard time saying that.
Truth. We've already talked about how that generation has a problem taking accountability.
Okay. I'm
Because
I'm
really
just
all a girl wants is to be heard
right.
and have an apology. I'm sorry. I'll put you in a situation where you had to see that, where you had to deal with that, be around that.
Because it's almost like she's diminishing her experience. Like, yes, that happened, but look who you turned out to be. So why are you talking about it? Why are you complaining? Like, that's what I get. from that.
Because who would have known what I would have turned out to be if I didn't have to deal with that? I wouldn't be talking about if something went boom, I got major anxiety.
Right. So then her father Terrence gets a little offended when she talks about her raising them by herself, and he tries to remind her that they're there to make things right with their kids. And so Monique tells him that he isn't going to tell her what she going to talk about. So then Sky says that, you know what, I can't even speak on how this affects her relationship like she shared with his family because they'll be arguing. So then James takes her daddy out of the room, and then while her mama is just still popping all the way off. Okay. It was real bad. It was all bad. Michael Jackson.
All right. So at the day 2 check-in with Tracy, she wanted to know how things went. They said it got a little heated, and she told Tracy that her dad always gets upset when her mom is going off on her because he feels like it's misdirected anger.
I
And
agree.
Tracy said it's when you say things that bring up shame for her, and then she has to attack. So Sky told her that she tried to explain to her mom that she's a great mom, but she is flawed. And Tracy told her to talk anybody out of their shame because she hasn't dealt with it.
Right.
So she asked her dad. So she asked her why her dad got up and walked away from the table, and she said, "When he's under the influence, that's just how he is. That's how he acts." And let her know that yes, he is drinking there. She said that she had previously warned him if he doesn't get help, he wasn't going to be invited to the wedding. So
And it
she
wasn't
gave.
even like, I mean, I know a drink is a drink for an alcoholic, but I was like, damn, bruh, you know, this is the issue for her. It's not even like you can do a, like, even when he had the beer, I was like, this is bad, but I'm gonna let you have it. But
And
then
then
when
he
he
wanted
went,
to have something about something going to get a shot.
right, going again, and then he ended up with Hennessy. And that's when I was like, okay. And I was like, this is the problem. Because the fact that everybody was trying to let him live, nobody said nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
just
then she gave them new task. She said for James, she's going to bring Dr. Cynthia in, who's going to work with him around grief for him, his mom, and his brother. Sky, she said she's going to have her do a dance lesson with her dad, which could be like a father daughter dance for their wedding. And then take that opportunity to tell him how she felt over the years. And then she wants her to have a sit down with her mom and talk about how she feels that her mom, gets angry with her when she's just trying to talk about what happened, um, enough
that's her
for her to have
experience.
her own feeling. I mean, to have her own healing. And she said she's worried about things going left like they did the night before. And Tracy said, "Well, I could be there if you want me to."
I
And she
like
said,
that too. I
like,
da-
and
I like I did like
yeah,
that because I feel like the only reason, and I'm gonna be honest with you, at first I thought it was gonna go left because she was gonna get mad that she brought somebody else.
I didn't. Because we're here with Tracy. She's a therapist. So
Right.
she's the one that's supposed to be providing the healing. So I didn't think it was gonna go left. I thought she was gonna make her take accountability.
But I thought that would anger the mom. Like I was actually surprised at the way things went. So they go, so Sky goes to the dance lesson with her father, Terrence, and um it seems to be going well. She said he can't dance, but she likes the fact that he's putting so much effort into learning. And so then she wants to address him being absent in her life, and he blames it on her mother. You know, she left him, and then she had another man, and she's calls him out, and she's like, you know what? It sounds like excuses, and it sounds like you just didn't give a damn for real.
Mm.
So he admits, you know what, I was wrong in how I handled it, and I apologize for not being there. And I said, okay, well, okay, Dad. Now let's take some accountability for some more stuff. So then she brings up his drinking and says, this has been her whole life, and she's been trying to be patient with him, waiting for this addiction to end, okay? Because he's addicted to not only drinking, but other substances as well, as we mentioned. And now it sounds like he's not so much on the other substances, but I'm sure drinking is a trigger to do the other substances. And then he just, he tries to convince her that he'll do better. And she lets him know, well, you got some time, but if I don't see it before my wedding, then guess what? You won't be there. And I said, well,
Yeah. Period. And then we see James, his brother and his mom are sitting down with Dr. Cynthia to talk about um, their passed on loved one. Sheikah said that first it was her niece, then her husband, and about 8 months after it was her mom.
Now this,
James.
my heart really went out to her.
Hmm.
Like, to lose that many people, that literally could make you have some type of like mental break, I would think.
Hmm. Um, James said it was tough to see his mom cry about his dad's passing, and he has nightmares about it. They were asked what was the first thing that came to mind when you heard the news of your dad's passing, and Jalen just kind of broke down, and he said that he just couldn't believe it. Sheikah said that she was in denial, and Dr. Cynthia told her that's a good thing because uh, it helps the process.
I love
James
how
said,
she validated them. Like, it's okay
mm-hmm,
to be in denial. I like how she validated all their feelings and all the stages.
mm-hmm. James said when they talk about the wedding, it really hit him because his dad's not going to be there, and he would do anything to have him there. He said he plans to see, to go do counseling back home because keeping all this stuff bottled up is just not good. And Sheikah said that her husband would have been proud because he's huge on family and would have loved the fact that James is getting married and that Jalen made it to the next level of football and got his degree. So Dr. Cynthia asked her, "What about you?" And she said, "He would think that I'm really strong because he always did." And I thought it was super sweet that James was like, "Strongest person I
Yeah,
know."
I know.
And then back in the room, James is discussing the therapy session uh, that he had with Dr. Cynthia to Sky and said, it feels like therapy really helped, really did help. And he just wants to continue it.
All right. So then we see dun, 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 dun. We see Sky go meet up with her mama Monique, okay? And Tracy is there for support. So she tells her mother that, I feel like when I try to share my experience, you get upset. So Monique denies that she's angry to the point that they can't have a conversation. And so I love when Tracy points out, but when she tried to have a conversation, you started cursing and became unregulated. And I said, clock it. Said Monique says that, you know what? Well, I feel like there's nothing I can do but just stay quiet. And and so basically Tracy tells her that she needs to take care of herself. And lets her know that, when we've been through things, we tend to do to other people what's been done to us. I said, woo, okay. So Sky tells her that yeah, Ma, you got to help yourself before you can help me. Um, or even be willing and open, like you got to deal with your own feelings and her own shame, basically. And so basically Tracy asked her if, are you willing to basically do something different or try something different. So they both leave feeling like, they're in a better place, and she feels like Sky can talk to her. Now, I don't know. I hope that she actually goes and gets therapy, because I absolutely feel like she needs it.
Mhm.
But I don't know if she will. I don't know if she will.
So then in the final session, James told Tracy that he felt like they made a breakthrough for him and his family in the session with Dr. Cynthia. And he said he feels like they can all get back to how, they want to be together. Sky said that her dad apologized for being absent and admitted that, he could have done more. He also promised not to mess up her wedding, but, she doesn't know if she believes him 100%. She
Facts.
told him that she's not judging him, but she'll be the judge on if he can come and if he does better. So at the blessing ceremony, they got everybody's blessing. I think as
I
they
was
do
gonna
it.
say mine say the same thing. They got everybody blessing.
Yeah, they do that at every episode. I don't think I
But
saw
one
one.
thing I will say, one of the only comments that I did write down was, I believe it was Monique, out of all people,
Mhm,
when she gave her blessing, she said, "I'm giving my blessing because you two have shown that you both are willing to do the work." And I thought that was profound, because I was like, yeah, that unlike y'all, and some of y'all sitting on that couch that are stagnant and you ain't gonna do no better than where you are, these young people are still willing to grow and become the best versions of themselves. And I was happy with it.
yeah. So Sky's mom is listening more without anger. While Sky's dad is limiting his drinking and will be walking her down the aisle, James is committed to addressing his grief in therapy. The couple secured a wedding venue without a pool, and they are expecting a baby later this year or that year.
Right. So I'm sure they have their beautiful blessing. Well, congrats to them. And yeah, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in to this recap of the family of the fiance. Y'all dropped out in the comments. Let us know what you think. And your traumas. We ain't nobody's therapist, but I suggest that everybody go get therapy. Black people go get therapy. It's okay. It's great. It's great. Feels good. Okay. But yeah, if you have not, it might not feel good all the time, but you'll feel better after. Okay. But if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button.
Make sure you comment
Make sure that you subscribe.
and you hit the notification bell.
And make sure you're following us on all the platforms. That's the TikTok, the Blue Sky, the IG, and the Facebook. And yeah, y'all have a wonderful and happy Juneteenth. And we will catch y'all next week for another round of the family or the fiance. Which one do you choose? Okay. Bye-bye.